that's okay. They can watch it later. So the first question I received was from Petty Scientist. And the question is, how can we force ourselves towards long-term pleasure instead of instant pleasure? The main problem is we can't take action because of resistance, and hence we keep procrastinating. So what's the solution? Very good question, Petty Scientist. I think if I understand your question correctly, what you're trying to say is that sometimes the thing that gives us instant pleasure is not the thing, well, not sometimes, actually, most of the time. The instant pleasure thing is not the thing that gives us long term benefits. And we always want to do the instant pleasure thing. So, for example, if I have a box of cookies in front of me, the instant pleasure thing is to eat the whole box because that would definitely give me instant pleasure, but long term is not good for my health. So it's always a battle. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge that yes, it's very hard. It's the easier choice is always to go for instant pleasure and not the long term reward. And I struggle with that myself. And what I do in these situations is I kind of roughly try to follow the 80-20 rule, that 80% of the time I'll do the thing that's good for me in the long term, but 20% of the time I will just indulge and give myself the instant pleasure without worrying too much about the long-term effects, because life is not meant to be lived too seriously all the time. So sometimes you have fun, and if for the most part, like 80% of the time, you're making the choices that are good for you long term, I think that's okay, and that's the philosophy I go by. But everyone is different, so do your own experimentation, do your own hit and trial, and see what works for you. For me, I find the 80-20 rule is a good one to follow. The next question I got is from Moez Parpia. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. And they asked me, what benefits has meditation brought into your life? And then the second question is, which technique of meditation do you consistently use? So, benefits of meditation. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. I feel like meditation has improved all aspects of my life. The biggest one is my self-awareness, because meditation is the art of knowing your mind, and so much of our mind is outside influences, right? So many of the voices in our head are not our own, is not our own inner true authentic voice. It could be the voice of our parents or the society or other people. So the more we meditate, the more we get to know our mind, and our self-awareness increases. And with that increased self-awareness, I find that just everything else in the life, in our lives, becomes better. So be it our relationships, or be it our mental health, physical health, even, because mental and physical is connected. And also being present becomes easier, responding instead of reacting becomes easier. And a big one for me was emotional resilience, the ability to handle the ups and downs of life. Well, mostly the downs. Ups are easy to handle, but the ability to handle the sorrows of life, and the troubles of life, and the struggles of life, that has become easier by meditating. And now your second question was, which technique of meditation do I consistently use? I keep switching my meditation routine up because I get bored doing the same thing every day. So sometimes I will do a guided meditation I'll just go on YouTube and search for example, chakra meditation, or I'll say 20-minute guided meditation for anxiety if I'm feeling anxious on that day. And then I switch between guided meditations and doing it on my own. So when I'm doing it on my own, I will either do some sort of breathing exercise, for example, alternate nostril breathing, or I'll do a body scan meditation, or I'll do the chakra meditation on my own. But your question was, what do I do consistently? So although I do keep switching, one thing that I do consistently almost every day is a variation of the 6-phase meditation, which I first learned from Vishen Lakhiani. So in his 6-phase meditation, The first phase is gratitude, then forgiveness. I believe the next one is compassion. And then there are few other phases, but I have just changed it to my own version of maybe 4 phase meditation where I do gratitude first. So I just try to think of 2, 3, 4 specific things that I'm grateful for that day. And then I go to forgiveness. I forgive whoever I have been angry at, maybe that day or the day before. And I also ask, in my mind, I ask them to forgive me because, yes, from my perspective, I am right and they are wrong. But from their perspective, I am wrong and they are right. So when I'm visualizing the forgiveness, I'm forgiving them, but I'm also asking for them to forgive me. And then compassion is the third stage of my meditation. In that, I just send positive vibes and compassion to anyone that I know is suffering. So, for example, recently there has been a death in my extended family. So, these days, whenever I'm doing this meditation and I'm in the compassion phase of my meditation, I'm just sending positive vibes and healing vibes to the people in that family. And then the fourth phase of my meditation is loving kindness meditation, where I simply wish for 2 or 3 or 4 random people. I choose different people every day to be happy. And these people, I try not to make them my loved ones, my family members, because everyone does that. We all want our family members to be happy, but I will just pick random people to be happy. So it could be like a neighbor or a colleague or a distant relative, maybe just random people, whoever comes to mind. And I'll just think, I wish for this person to be happy. And that's it. So these 4 phases of my meditation are something that I do almost every day. So that was the answer to the 2 questions asked by Moez. The next question came from Sudeep, and that question is, what is your absolute favorite book of all time? My absolute favorite book? I don't have one because it hasn't been written yet by me. Just kidding. Just kidding. It's hard to pick one because I could tell you maybe my top 3 or top 5, but in general, I just try to pick maybe 1 or 2 things from every book I read, and I don't follow one book or one person religiously. I believe in listening from everyone, but picking and choosing what I want to adopt into my life from the advice I get from different authors or speakers or coaches. So if I had to pick, let's say, my top 3, I would say the books that really, really influenced me and changed me and had a deep impact on me, those would be Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, Personality is Impermanent by Benjamin Hardy. A recent one that had a big impact was Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Tawwab. And Think Again was another good one. It's just hard to name a few. But I like a lot of the books I have read, I feel that pretty much everyone pretty much every book gave me something good to adopt into my life. So now I'm just going back to the chat to see. Ritesh says, I also do 80-20, but the other way. Well, that works. That works. We are all different, so I think we all should do what feels right to us. I was reading this book called Zen Parenting, and one of the beautiful things that the author said in that book was that if a teacher tells you that do religiously what they tell you and that their path is the only path, you run away from that teacher, because a true teacher will help you find your own answers yourself. So in whatever I have said, either in this live chat or throughout my videos on my channel, nothing is meant to be taken, nothing is like, this is the way or this is the answer. These are just the ways or answers that have worked for me, and I'm myself evolving, myself growing. So what worked for me 2 years ago may not be working for me today. So I'm just sharing my journey as I grow myself. So I would just encourage everyone to find their own answers and keep learning and keep growing and keep listening and learning from different people, not just one person. Justin, that's a great book, Set Boundaries, Find Peace. They also recently launched a workbook. So if after you read the book, you find that you like it, you may also want to get the workbook, because that might actually help you to apply what you learned from the book. So Justin is talking about the Set Boundaries, Find Peace book. And there's a workbook that accompanies that as well. One of my big growth areas during the pandemic has been setting boundaries, because I have sucked at doing that all my life. And these kind of things also come to me from meditation, right? Like I said, meditation helps with self-awareness. And because the pandemic gave us all extra time to be at home during lockdown, some of that extra time, I think for me, it helped me to do some more self-reflection. And I realized that I have been a people pleaser all my life, which meant that I had no boundaries, and I let people cross boundaries all the time because I just wanted to be perceived as a nice person and a sweet person. So I have realized that in the last year or so, that setting boundaries was an area where I needed to work. So that's why I bought the book, and that's why I really liked it, because it's full of very, very practical advice and tips. Ritesh, what's your advice to someone thinking of starting a new YouTube channel? Do not wait, start, and do not let the fear of judgment or fear of failure stop you. Just start, just do it, would be my advice. So unless there are any more questions in the chat, we can stop this live stream, but maybe I'll just hang out for another couple minutes, see if any more questions come. I'll drink some water while I wait. Hi, Ruby. What is the most important thing in life? I don't know. What do you think is the most important thing in life? I think the answer is different for different people. Are you asking me what is the most important thing for me in my life? Let me see. How would I answer that question? For me, I think growth is the most important thing. Yeah, I think I would say growth. Justin is asking, what are some of your content creation goals for this year? Honestly, I do not have any content creation goals. I I think I definitely plan to continue my frequency of uploading videos, which is about once a week. Other than that, I do not have any goals like, hitting a certain subscriber number or a certain number of views, because I I feel like if I get into that game, I will just make myself crazy, and I that's just not a game I'm playing. The reason I have this channel is the intent is service more than, making money or getting subscribers or fame. And I am happy with internal validation more than external validation. So external validation is, likes, comments, views, and subscribers, all that stuff. And if I tie myself to that, that is not going to be good for my mental health, nor it's linked with my purpose. But if I focus on internal validation, which means I am happy with the content I'm creating and sharing, and people are engaging with it, and people are getting helped by it, then I'm happy. So, for example, like when I get a message from someone that this video was really helpful, or it it really helped me change my perspective or something like that, that just makes my day. And to me, that is way bigger than the number of subscribers or seeing that analytics go up. So yeah, I do not have any content creation goals. So if any, it's just the process goals, not the output goals, things that are within my control, which is how often I will upload. Chetan, good morning. Shruti, good morning. Shruti, why are you saying good morning? Are you in India? I thought it's night for you. Okay, Ruby, how will things be different after the pandemic? Oh, that's a tough one. I don't even know if there will be an after the pandemic. I mean, um, what I mean to say is, yes, the pandemic is certainly right now in the process of changing into an endemic. Like some countries, UK has already declared an endemic status, and they removed their restrictions and stuff. And I know sooner or later that will happen in other countries as well. Um, but I don't know if we will go back to the normal we were used to before 2020. So if and I've accepted that fact. So if, let's say, for the rest of my life, I have to get a booster shot every 6 months, and let's say if I have to, I know travel will be different. I think I've accepted the fact that things are not going to be as they were before 2020. So I know travel will be different. We might be getting boosters every 6 months or maybe every year, and masks may come and go. And I'm okay with that. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm no expert. I don't know, but those are my thoughts. I'm very happy to see so many of you in the chat. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. And yeah, if there's any other questions, keep them coming. Ritesh is saying no one will go back to office. Um, yeah, um, I don't know, but what do you think about, like, yes, definitely lots of companies have realized that remote work is just economical for them, and employees also, lots of them don't want to commute. But what about the social camaraderie, when you're physically in person with your colleagues, and the kind of collaboration that happens in person? I don't know if but that also depends on whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. So I don't know. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she was telling me, because she has worked from home now for 2 years straight. And before, she used to go to office physically every day. And she was just saying that she really misses the in-person camaraderie of her friends at work and her colleagues at work. And that when she has the option, when the restrictions go away, she will go to work physically at least once a week, just for her own mental health. Supreet will live in metaverse. What's a metaverse? Which thing motivates you most? Chetan is asking. Well, books do motivate me. I am reading books all the time. I love books. Um, I think it's also internal. There is an internal drive in me to just grow and improve and learn. So even if I didn't have this YouTube channel, I would still be reading books, personal development books all the time because it just gives me so much joy. But then the reason I read books is that there is an intrinsic drive in me to just learn and grow. So some of it is internal, and that's why I seek out books and I maybe seek out podcasts and I watch TED Talks or so yeah, I go to this content because I'm internally motivated. But then this content that I consume, whether it's books or podcasts or videos, that motivates me more. Yeah, I think that's how I would answer your question. Thank you, Shruti. Shruti saying, I love working from home but miss meeting people. Yes, yeah, I think for sure, like the pandemic has been really hard for extroverts, right? Because we're so used to the getting energy by seeing people in person. So it's hard and it can be isolating to just work from home all the time, and Zoom fatigue is a thing, right? I personally, I cannot, like my eyes get tired if I'm on Zoom for more than, let's say, 2 hours. And one time I had to be in a Zoom meeting that was 4 or 5 hours long, and I got a massive headache after that. So after that, I decided Zoom is not for me. I had the option to teach my leadership training courses online. I used to teach them in person before the pandemic, and I got the option to teach them online, but that would have meant teaching a class virtually on Zoom for 5 hours. And I just said no because it just didn't work for me. Ruby saying we never stop improving or growing, lifelong agenda. Exactly, 100%, 100%. I think if we stop growing, we stop living, right? Life, with its ups and downs and with everything, is. I feel like there's a book called Many Lives, Many Masters. And in that book, the author says that we we take birth, and the purpose of life is to learn. And once we're done learning the lessons that we were meant to learn in this life, that's when we die, because we are done learning the lessons being that person. And then that book talks about reincarnation, but whether or not you believe in that or not, but I agree that lifelong learning is definitely something I believe in. And I think even when I don't know, if I'm lucky enough to live long enough to be 70, 80, 90, let's say, I will still be learning, still be growing. And yeah, for me, that's the fun of life. You're very welcome, Chetan. Oh, I'm enjoying this. This is fun. Just reading the messages to see if I missed any. Okay, if there's any other questions, please type them in the chat. I'll again wait a couple minutes, and if no more questions, then we can end it. Thank you, Shruti. Ruby says people are happier and more grounded when they keep growing. People who don't become people who don't become more miserable. Yes, 100%. I agree. Shruti is saying any book recommendations for understanding ourselves better, being kind, more empathetic to ourselves. Yes, Mel Robbins' The High Five Habit. The biggest thing that I got out of that book, Shruti, was that, self compassion, being kind to yourself. And even if you follow Mel Robbins on Instagram or other social media, her posts are full of messages that would help you with these things that you're looking for. It's nice to see that you guys are talking to each other. Shruti also agrees with you, Ruby. If you guys have any book recommendations for me, feel free to type them in the chat. At this moment, I am not reading any book because I just finished 2 books. I finished Zen Parenting and I finished Be Where Your Feet Are. And, well, no, I lied. I am listening to audiobook right now, which normally I don't, but I am listening to Will Smith's autobiography in my car. So whenever I'm driving, I'm listening to that. But yeah, I am soon going to be done. So I am looking for more books to read now. I have to be reading something all the time. I just feel a little bit lost if I don't have a book to read. You're very welcome, Ruby. I am glad to hear that you're enjoying my videos. Shruti says, my kids did high five on the mirror, but then there was so much cleanup to do. Yes, I know. Fingerprints, right? Yeah, it's messy. The way I taught my daughter to do it is just to go like this, close to the mirror, but not actually touch it. And that's how I also do it. So for others who don't know what I'm talking about, in the book, The High Five Habit, Mel Robbins talks about this simple habit that we can do first thing in the morning when when we're done brushing our teeth, just to look yourself, make eye contact with yourself in the mirror and high five. And so I was saying that I don't actually touch the mirror with my hands because I don't want to put fingerprints on it. I just go very close to it and go like this. And I'll just say something positive to myself, like, have a good day. Or let's say if I did my meditation and then after that I go to the bathroom, I'll just say, good job for doing your meditation. And especially on days, for example, when I did not feel like exercising or did not feel like doing my yoga and I still did it, I pushed myself, then I feel like I have to high five myself in the mirror for doing that. And I know it sounds silly, but in the book, Mel Robbins explains the psychological research behind it, how it's good, because all these things are like a feedback loop, right? So when you're your own cheerleader, when you're high-fiving yourself in the mirror, the connections and the way it's rewiring your brain is going to help you to do that more often, because the reward centers in your brain are getting activated by that simple high five and self cheerleading. Because most of us live our lives wanting the world to cheer for us, because again, external validation versus internal, but only we can be our biggest cheerleader. And that is what allows us to, keep on taking new challenges and keep on trying to improve ourselves. Shruti says, I am reading Steal Like an Artist, The Power of Now, and You Are Here for Now. Okay, I have read Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. I loved it. The Power of Now, loved it. You Are Here for Now. That one I haven't heard of, so I'll write that down. You Are Here for Now. Okay, thank you, Shruti. You Are Here for Now. Okay. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Okay, thank you, Ritesh. I don't follow Naval Ravikant, but I heard one of his podcasts with Joe Rogan, and I enjoyed it. He had a lot of good stuff to share, but other than that, I haven't read any of his books, or I don't follow him on social. Ruby says the greatest thing I learned last year was self-compassion. I am so glad, Ruby. I think that is such an important thing to learn because I find that even a lot of people who appear outwardly very confident, and you would think that they would have a lot of self esteem and self love, sometimes even they don't have it because what we see is the outer image that they are presenting, but sometimes even the most confident people are very, very insecure on the inside. And and so I'm so glad to hear that you worked on that for yourself. Yeah, I'll stop there. I sometimes just tend to blabber and just go on tangents, so I'll stop myself before I do that. One book that's going to come out in February. It's called How to Find Your People. So it's about how to make meaningful connections and, find people, make friends. So that is one book that I'm looking forward to. It's coming out in the end of February. Sometimes I just go on Amazon and I just in the self-development category I'll search for new releases or books that are coming out soon, and I saw that book and that one caught my eye. So I know I will be reading that one as well. I'm excited about that one. All right, let's see if there's any more questions or comments. Okay, I think that's a good time to end the live stream. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very, very much for joining and for asking questions. I really enjoyed this. This just felt like I kind of wish this was in person now, but this was really good. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking out the time. It was nice to hang out with everyone. Thank you, Justin. Thank you for your kind words. And I hope you all have a great rest of the weekend and keep growing.